From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. Rescuers recover a female student's body and locate a second victim beneath rubble as emergency teams scramble for survivors following a devastating building collapse in Anambra State. House committee orders IGP Olatunji Disu to produce alleged PFIPC Director General Adeyemi Martin for investigation into disputed agency operations. Joint security operatives repelled massive bandit assault in Katsina, killing over 40 bandits, including top commanders, in a major offensive against criminal networks. And President Donald Trump says U.S. suspended Iran strikes after Tehran sought pause, warns military action could resume as Iran denies ongoing negotiations with Washington. On sports news tonight, it's a clean sweep for Team Nigeria weightlifters at the Commonwealth Games, smashing and setting new records to win 3 gold medals in Glasgow, Scotland.
Now on business news, oil prices fall more than 7% as signs of easing U.S.-Iran tensions calm global markets.
And from the nation's capital, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike declares street car racing banned in Abuja residential areas, vows strict enforcement to protect lives, property and public safety.
We begin from Anambra State, where the state government has launched a comprehensive investigation into the collapse of the 3-story elite 5-star lodge in Amokwala in Oko, Orumba North local government area, following fresh revelations that occupants had reportedly expressed concerns about visible structural defects before the building gave way. The incident, which claimed the lives of 2 students, has reignited calls for stricter enforcement of building regulations and improved oversight of construction projects within the university community.
Grief and outrage hang heavy over Amokwala, Oko in Anambra State, as excavators claw through the crushed ruins of the elite 5-star lodge. Heartbroken survivors revealed that the landlord previously evicted tenants due to severe structural dangers, only to re-rent those same unsafe rooms to fresh, unsuspecting students.
This building that collapsed yesterday, we lost like yesterday. I don't know how this thing happen. I don't know. By God's grace, some people survived. But yesterday we rescued 3 people. One person sustained 1 injury. We rescued 1 small boy and 1 man.
It was yesterday, around 10:11, that someone knocked at my door and told me, and asked I should come out, that people are parking out. I was like surprised. How are people parking out? How? So before you know it, I went down with my phone and it's even someone that gave me this clothes I'm putting on. I went down with my nightwear and my phone. It didn't take up to 5 minutes. We started hearing cracking sound. Before you know it, the thing just collapsed. Everything just went down.
Engineering officials confirmed that the building showed clear failure signs before caving in on Sunday night. Local leaders praised brave Federal Polytechnic students who rushed through the dust to dig out their peers.
Currently, we have made several preliminary reports, which we will not be going into now until there's a final analysis on them, so we can be able to identify what actually caused the building collapse.
Well, investigation is still ongoing, so we don't want to run into a quick conclusion. But I understand that the building has some structural challenge, and the students have actually been communicated even much earlier than now. They saw the challenge by themselves. I understand they've been given some time to evacuate. I'm not sure I'm not able to authenticate that, but the general information that we are getting is that the building has some structural defects.
Amidst agonized screams from helpless classmates, search teams recovered another victim's body from the debris. The state government now promises a sweeping building audit to ensure this preventable tragedy never claims another life.
Now, while the Anambra state government is set to investigate the cause of the building collapse, the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, has inaugurated an 8-member investigative panel to determine the immediate and remote causes of the partial collapse of the Gombe State House of Assembly complex. The committee is expected to carry out a thorough technical investigation and recommend measures to help prevent similar failures in future construction projects, including a recommendation of appropriate sanction for persons found culpable.
Officials of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, are taking steps to ensure that there is no repeat of the partial collapse of the Gombe State House of Assembly, which is under construction. The collapse of the cantilever canopy at the ongoing project site had claimed 1 life and left 7 others injured. The investigating panel is inaugurated by the COREN Registrar, Professor Okoji Austin, at the Council's Gombe office.
Engineer Yakubu Ali Garba, the responsibility of investigating what really happened.
Shortly after the inauguration, panel members visited the site of the incident to begin preliminary assessments and engage key stakeholders ahead of a detailed technical investigation.
Why also we are doing this is to ensure that the structure, when it is finally built, people will not have this idea of, it may collapse again, okay?
The Council says the exercise is a professional fact-finding mission aimed at establishing the true cause of the collapse. The Council says the investigation underscores its commitment to public safety, professional accountability, and strict compliance with engineering standards.
The registrar said the whole exercise is not a witch hunt. You understand? It may be a natural problem. It may be nobody's fault at all. It will be said. If it is a fault from our practitioner, that is the person involved is an engineer, we have our laws and regulations on how to take care of him.
The Gombe State government welcomed the investigation, describing it as a timely intervention that will complement the state's efforts to strengthen quality assurance and oversight in public infrastructure projects.
The incident is quite regrettable because His Excellency is very concerned about it, and you can see how immediately even the Registrar of COREN with his team are here in Gombe State.
The panel has been tasked with establishing the immediate and remote causes of the collapse, assessing compliance with approved engineering codes, identifying any professional or technical lapses, and recommending measures to prevent a recurrence. COREN says the panel's findings will inform appropriate regulatory actions, including sanctions on defaulters, and further strengthen quality assurance in building and civil engineering projects across Nigeria.
The Accountant General of the Federation, Shamsuddin Ogunjimi, says no government funds were released to the purported Presidential Economic Advisory Council, despite requests for funding, because there was no budgetary provision. Appearing before the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the alleged operation of a fake presidential agency, Mr. Ogunjimi said the Treasury created an administrative code based on a letter believed to have come from the State House. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the operation of the controversial Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council continues its probe with the appearance of the Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Shamsuddin Ogunjimi.
If you will find a situation like this...
The committee is investigating allegations that forged State House documents were used to establish and operate the council.
Let me answer the first.
The Accountant General told lawmakers that his office processed administrative requests from the council, but did not release any funds, other than that the council never operated the Treasury's single account.
There was a letter using State House letterhead to OEGF requesting for an administrative code to be created for the agency. OAGF responded, giving that administrative code, and sent a letter to State House, informing the State House about the creation as requested.
Lawmakers then questioned how the agency passed through government processes without raising suspicion. In his response, Mr. Ogunjimi explains that a letter requesting an administrative code appeared to have come from the State House, but was later found not to have been issued by the presidency.
A letter was received by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation from the Council requesting for the opening of TSA accounts and 2 domiciliary accounts for the Council, one in USD and the other in Great Britain pounds. The 2 domiciliary accounts opened were never operational because the Council did not meet up with the laid-down requirements why the TSA account request was declined.
The committee described the development as a serious breach and directed the Inspector General of Police to produce the self-acclaimed Director General of the Controversial Council, Mr. Adeniyi Adeyemi, before the committee within 48 hours.
For clarity of our submission or our findings, including our recommendation, the committee hereby resolve that the Inspector General of Police do kindly present Prince Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew on Wednesday by 12 noon. Please, that is the ruling of the committee.
The committee believes that the appearance of the Director General will clarify how the Council secured official recognition and processed government requests as the investigation continues. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has faulted some government agencies on the compliance with the federal character in their recruitment processes. This is one of the major findings during a system review and corruption risk assessment conducted between October 2025 and June 2026 by the Commission. The assessment report is was presented at a meeting organized by the Center for Social Justice in collaboration with the ICPC in Abuja.
The Center for Social Justice is partnering with the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission on systemic anti-corruption reviews, public sector accountability, and corruption risk assessments within Nigerian public institutions like health and education. The assessment is carried out by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission with special focus on the National Health Insurance Authority, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and the Universal Basic Education Commission.
The goal of the project under which we collaborated with ICPC is to contribute to increase the effectiveness of anti-corruption laws, policies, interventions, and strategies for the entrenchment of reforms at national and subnational levels. The expectation is that this will lead to increased compliance with anti-corruption laws.
The reports of findings from the 3 government agencies is presented at the meeting. Instead of waiting to punish offenders after funds disappear, these assessments identify operational vulnerabilities that facilitate fraud and direct a systemic cleanup before corruption can take place.
After almost a decade of putting a national anti-corruption strategy in place, strengthening enforcement, strengthening asset recovery, strengthening institutional capacities, the question came, so what? If all we do not translate to better living standard for the people of Nigeria, then all we have done is but useless.
NHI has developed not just enrollee rights and charter, but have also put in a QR code what you're covered by, so that power is also given to the enrollee to go there.
Assessing the presentations, the ICPC is satisfied with the progress of the agencies while maintaining there is room for improvement.
Like in all the agencies that we visited, you understand, the issue of federal character principle was abused by all the 3 agencies on the issue of recruitment, because when The federal character principle or the federal character principle states that each state of the federation must have equal representation of 2.75%. You understand? And 1% by federal capital territory. But all the agencies that we visited, they've abused this process. You understand? So that is one of them.
The ICPC and partners maintain that for the anti-corruption war to succeed, government agencies must comply with rules and regulations guiding the institutions while pursuing excellence in service delivery.
In part two, after the break, joint security operatives repel massive bandit assault in Katsina, killing over 40 bandits, including top commanders, in a major offensive against criminal networks. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Rescuers recover a female student's body and locate a second victim beneath the rubble as emergency teams scramble for survivors following the devastating building collapse in Anambra State. House Committee orders IGP Olatunji Disu to produce alleged PFIPC Director General Adeni Adeyemi for investigation into disputed agency operations. Joint security operatives repel massive bandit assault in Katsina, killing over 40 bandits, including top commanders, in a major offensive against criminal networks. And President Donald Trump says U.S. suspended Iran strikes after Tehran sought pause, warns military action could resume as Iran denies ongoing negotiations with Washington. In Katsina, the state government says security forces have recorded a major victory after joint operatives of the Hunters and the Katsina State Community Watch Corps repelled a large-scale bandit attack in Guga village in Bakori local government area. Authorities say more than 40 bandits, including 8 top commanders, were neutralized during the fierce gun battle, while notorious bandit leader Idi Abasu Aiki reportedly sustained life-threatening injuries. The attackers, numbering over 200 and allegedly led by Abasu Aiki with support from the Ado Alero criminal network, invaded the community in what officials described as a reprisal attack. Security forces acting on intelligence launched a coordinated response that forced the attackers to retreat, leaving behind weapons and other items. However, 5 members of the Hunters team were killed during the operation after they were reportedly caught outside the front line. The government has already expressed condolences to their families, while security agencies continue clearance operations to prevent further attacks and restore lasting peace. South Africa says Nigerians who lost businesses and properties during the xenophobic attacks can still pursue legal ownership of those assets, provided they can establish proof of ownership. The Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa, Roland Lamola, gave the assurance during a media briefing after a closed-door meeting with the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Shola Enikonlai, in Abuja.
As Nigeria and South Africa continue efforts to deepen diplomatic and economic relations, the lingering impact of xenophobic attacks on Nigerians remains a key issue. This meeting between the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and the South African envoy is part of ongoing engagements aimed at seeking lasting solutions to the issue and also preserving one of Africa's most strategic bilateral relationships.
From 2022 alone, 98 Nigerians have died in mob actions, in hate-related actions that we have called Afrophobia, because we found that the preponderant victims of this ugly situation are Africans.
Nigeria and South Africa have a shared responsibility to respond to these challenges within the African continent of migration. Across the continent, migration remains a huge challenge that all of us have to work together to address.
The meeting then goes into a closed-door session. Sometime later, both ministers briefed the media. The South African envoy reaffirms the country's commitment to continuous engagement to de-escalating the crisis. On issues of abandoned assets and properties belonging to Nigerians, he assures that all hope is not lost.
The two countries will have to engage in a robust manner, but it must be measured. The public rhetoric must be de-escalated to enable us to zoom into the challenges. And in this regard, there is an early warning mechanism that the two countries are at an advanced stage of negotiating, which will enable us to deal with the early warning signs of the reoccurrence of this protest and the violence in particular. What I can state is that in terms of South African law, anyone who has their properties or who has their assets, there is a legal way for them to claim whatever property that might have been taken by anyone. So the procedures and the processes in the South African legal system enable such a process to unfold. But there was no discussion now, and there's no agreement. But if there is any Nigerian national who has a property, the property is in their name, it remains in their name until it has been legally and officially transferred to any other person.
For many Nigerians affected by the xenophobic violence, the promise of legal recourse may not erase the trauma and losses of the past. Still, it offers a renewed opportunity to pursue justice through established legal channels. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
And we have more news, this time from the nation's capital, and Millicent Walker is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Great to see you, Millicent.
Same here. Many thanks, Ayatunde. From the nation's capital, life in the fast lane has hit the brakes as the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike says his administration will not allow streetcar racing in residential areas in the nation's capital. Mr. Wike stated this during his routine project inspection while responding to questions on the danger posed by activities of car racing, which usually occurs during weekends in the territory. Our correspondent Kumbi Amboluade has more.
Top officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, led by the FCT Minister, are here to inspect the ongoing construction of Apo-Karshi Road, which spans about 13.12 kilometers and was awarded in 2010.
Along the road has been fully constructed.
This comes barely 10 days after the FCT administration concluded a month-long project commissioning and flag-off in the territory. From here, the team proceeds to Gwari Area Council, where a road construction is currently ongoing. After assessing the project, the minister speaks to the press.
My happiness today is that going to Apo-Karshi, which has been a very major concern, that project was awarded in 2010. And people are complaining. I thank God with the support we have gotten from President, we can say we are fit to go. They already put in the street lights. Now we're in Buhari, going to Kubwa Road. I've seen the extent of work, and so I think that before the end of this year, they should be able to hand over this road to us.
Apart from the projects inspected, Mr. Wike also responds to questions on the dangers posed by streetcar races, which usually occurs during the weekends in the nation's capital.
No formal complaint has been made, but now that we have heard it from you, I will check the traffic section and then let them understand that we will not allow that. If they are going to carry a car race, we have designated areas where they should do that, but not where we have residences of people. Nobody would allow that. But I appeal to them to understand that their rights have limitation and their life is more important. So be assured that we will do everything possible to see that we don't allow car racing within the residential areas. But if it's on the highway, well, and that we will not stop.
The minister further pledged to fulfill promises made by his administration, particularly by engaging in projects that would improve the living conditions of residents. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
In Plateau, the state government has stepped up its emergency response to a cholera outbreak that has claimed 14 lives and affected 4 local government areas in 2 months. Health authorities say while the outbreak has been brought under control in Mangu local government area, transmission continues in other parts of the state. The State Commissioner for Health, who gave the update during a press briefing in Jos, says the state has recorded 441 suspected cases, 20 rapid diagnostic test reactive cases, 6 laboratory confirmed cases and 14 deaths across Mangu, Jos North, Jos South and Bakinladi local government areas. He adds that only 3 patients, all in Jos North, are currently receiving treatment while government has intensified surveillance, active case searches, community enlightenment and the distribution of essential medical supplies.
We have intensified response activities across all emergency response pillars. We have intensified active case search across all the affected LGAs and communities. We've also expanded community-based surveillance for early detection of cases. We've strengthened reporting through trained health facility surveillance focal persons to ensure real-time surveillance and response. The government has ensured that there is continuous availability of oral rehydration salts, intravenous fluids, antibiotics, and other essential commodities. We have plans to also establish additional oral rehydration points in Jos North local government area. Free or subsidized treatments for cholera patients in designated treatment centers have also been done. While significant progress has been made in controlling the outbreak in most of the local governments identified, cholera still remains a serious public health concern in Plateau State.
Still ahead on the news at 10, oil prices fall more than 7% as signs of easing US-Iran tensions calm global markets. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Watching the news at 10, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. To some company news, Guarantee Trust Holding Company PLC, GTCO, has organised its 16th Annual Autism Conference 2026. This Orange Ribbon Initiative journey began in 2009 with a commitment to advocate for children living with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, to stop the stigmatization and support parents and caregivers alike. The 2-day event, which is taking place at the Muson Centre, Oniko area of Lagos, brought both international and local facilitators to engage stakeholders and the general public on the theme Acceptance in Action, from family to classroom to workplace to public spaces.
Thank you. Families, educators, specialist consultants, caregivers, policymakers, students and other stakeholders gathered at the Muson Centre in Onikon, Lagos for the 16th Annual Autism Program, organized by Guarantee Trust Holding Company PLC. The theme is Acceptance in Action, from family to classroom to workplace to public spaces. In his welcome address, GTCO Group Chief Executive Officer Segun Agbaji reflects on the company's commitment to supporting children with neurodevelopmental disorders since 2009.
Our journey for 16 years, at least when this started, was to create awareness. Because we felt as if there were too many families and there were too many people who lived in denial about having children or adults who were autistic. Every day now, I meet people who are willing to accept that in their families, they have people living with the spectrum, even though they don't understand why.
Cameroonian-born physician and clinical consultant, Dr. Benedict Kilo, stresses that acceptance begins at home by helping autistic children build the confidence to navigate challenges beyond the family.
Charity begins at home. For one of the community to accept an autistic individual, the home and the family must accept that individual. Accept the child, it is easier for them to face the rejection from outside.
Behavior specialist Larry Duile urges parents, caregivers, and teachers to better understand and manage challenging behaviors as a practical demonstration of acceptance.
If you do not know how to look for the behavior, you miss the point completely. When you are able to interpret behaviors, the treatment is easy. You are able to follow through.
Parents describe the initiative as timely and impactful.
For me, this is a very good initiative. It has helped with capacity building for me as a person. It has helped me to understand my child better, and it has helped me as an advocate.
The two-day conference features expert insights, lived experiences, and practical discussions aimed at promoting inclusion and acceptance of autistic individuals at every stage of life, from the home and classroom to the workplace and public spaces.
Nigeria is moving to industrialize its agriculture as the federal government validates a new policy to guide the development of special agro-industrial processing zones across the country. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Mr. Abubakar Kyari, says the policy is designed to remove barriers to investment and make Nigeria a global destination for agro-industrial development.
We have also
the stakeholder validation meeting on the draft special agro-industrial processing zones policy is bringing together government officials, development partners, private investors, and civil society groups. The policy is designed to remove barriers to investment and make Nigeria a global destination for agro-industrial development.
Poor roads, weak power, inadequate storage facility and cold chain infrastructure, and fragmented logistics. This means that between 30 to 60% of what our farmers produce, depending on the commodity, is lost after harvest, at an estimated national cost of between 9 to 10 billion US annually.
Nigeria has 70 million hectares of arable land and an access to 1.3 billion person African continental free trade area market. Some of the objectives of the special agro-processing zones is to integrate smallholder farmers who produce 85% of Nigeria's food through outgrower schemes and guaranteed market access.
Together, let us build SAPZs that attract investment, create jobs, expand exports, and position Nigeria as the gateway to Africa. Let us move from production to prosperity, and from a Nigeria that feeds itself to a Nigeria that helps feed Africa and the world.
Speakers at the event are calling on development partners and investors to support the speedy adoption of the policy and build agro-industrial hubs and agricultural transformation centers nationwide.
There are ample opportunities, to enforce livestock crop integration. And that, I believe, is the way we look at it. Livestock crop integration. That is very, very excellent. And in fact, I remember a conversation in Kano was that near that SAPC in Kano, we are also building a livestock service center.
A strong SAPZ policy should enable seamless and innovative investments, as well as inclusive growth of agro-industry and transformation of our rural community.
The federal government says the validated special agro-processing zones policy will serve as the bridge between policy and prosperity and position Nigeria as the gateway to Africa's food system. Sarah Achimugu, Channels Television News.
And that's it from the nation's capital. Will Ibong is up next with business news.
Thank you, Millicent.
Now, global oil prices fell by more than 7% after reports that Iran would suspend attacks if the United States maintains its pause in military action, easing concerns over potential supply disruptions. Brent crude dropped more than 7% to $89 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell nearly 7% as well to around $83 a barrel. Now, the reported pause has boosted hopes of renewed diplomacy, helping calm fears that the Middle East conflict could further disrupt global oil supplies. Now, meanwhile, depot fuel prices across Nigeria remain unchanged despite the 7% decline in global oil prices. Now, manufacturers are expressing concern over the proposed increase in pension contributions, warning that higher mandatory deductions could raise labor costs and place additional financial pressure on businesses already grappling with rising production expenses. Now, the Executive Secretary, Chemical and Non-Metallic Products Employers Federation, Mr. Femi Oke, says while strengthening retirement savings is important, any review of pension contributions should carefully balance workers' welfare with the ability of employers to sustain operations. He was a guest on Business Morning.
I mean, looking at the prevailing economic situation, this is not the time to do so, because if you do such now, a lot of workers will lose their jobs, and both in the formal and informal sectors. And a lot of them also, a lot of businesses are struggling to survive now. So there's going to be a lot of challenges for us to face. I mean, it looks 1%, 2% looks minimal, but it's huge. The effect is huge on the wage bill, on the companies. So that's what we must realize, that it's a cost. If costs go down drastically, then we can judge, or we can talk about it. We can look at it. We can look at different options, because we're in it for a long time. But you don't just come in and say, give us 3% increase, do this and do this. We need to go back and talk. The issues are, and of course there are structures, there are procedures for this to be taking place. They shouldn't jump those procedures. They shouldn't come on the hair. They should come to talk to us, talk to the employees, come to the employers and the government. Tripartite. In 2014, when the Pension Reform Act came into place, there was a lot of discussions, a lot of stakeholders' discussions took place. And that's why we are here, we are now. And it was the best.
Now, the average maximum lending rate charged by Nigerian banks declined to 33.16% in June, down from 34.78% in May, offering slight relief for borrowers. New data from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows the decline comes even as the monetary policy rate remained unchanged at 26.5%. And despite the drop, borrowing costs remain significantly higher than a year ago, with the average lending rates rising from 29.51% in June 2025, underscoring the continued high cost of credit. Still in the financial space, but we head to the equities market, which opened the final trading week of July lower and driven by profit taking. Ladi Williams has more.
Well, it's the start of another trading week, and the markets, and it's opening flat today, just about 4 basis points down. But we'll take it as 5 at this point. 238,000 there for the all-share index. Market cap, that's sitting at 159 trillion naira. Let's look at the sectors that we track now. We see banking continues bullish territory today. It's the lone laggard gainer there, 0.78% higher, while other sectors are lagging. Consumer goods down over 1.07%, industrial goods about 6 basis points lower. Then we see the likes of First Holdco again, leading the pack, up 4.85%. We also see Zenith Bank, UBA also gaining today. All right, today, dividends payout for this week. We're expecting a total dividend payments of 116.38 billion naira from 7 companies. The largest payout this week is going to be Ardell, paying 9.93 billion naira.
Ladi, let's now see the numbers for other major stock markets amid declining oil prices.
And that's business news. I am Will Ibong. It's back to Ayo for more on the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. U.S. President Donald Trump said the U.S. halted renewed strikes on Iran at the regime's request, warning they would resume if the two sides fail to reach a new ceasefire deal. Iran's foreign ministry said there are no current negotiations with the United States. Here's Saman Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Firefighters are tackling major wildfires in France and Spain, with one blaze around 9 miles from the south of Bordeaux. A giant fire thunderstorm fueled by its own winds and lightning has been created in the Gironde region. More than 300,000 people have been evacuated across both countries. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez visited the Emergency Command Center in Valdiuxo, near Valencia. He said around 150,000 hectares had been burned across Spain so far this year, 6 times the area destroyed by wildfires at the same point last year. The price of oil has fallen sharply on hopes that a pause in attacks between the US and Iran could help lead to a resolution of the conflict. Brent crude, the global benchmark for oil, sank more than 9% to below $88 a barrel at one point, marking a sharp turnaround from last week where it had risen to beyond $100 a barrel. The fall came after the US ambassador to the UN said attacks on Iran had been halted for a second night in a row to give talks some space. An Iranian army spokesperson said that Tehran had halted retaliatory attacks in the region in response. The outbreak of the Iran war has triggered a sharp rise in oil prices as the conflict led to the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. 3 people have been killed and several others injured following a shooting at a food festival near the Space Needle in Seattle. Mayor Katie Wilson said one suspect had been taken into custody following the incident at the Seattle Center, which had been housing the annual Bite of Seattle food festival across the weekend when the shots were fired at around 6 p.m. local time. A second suspect fled the scene and is yet to be apprehended. 2 deaths were confirmed at the scene, with one person later dying in hospital. The man, suspected of carrying out what authorities say was likely an Islamist terror attack at Berlin Pride, has been shot and killed by police. Officers opened fire when Abdul Balaut, a 21-year-old German citizen with Lebanese heritage, rushed at them with a knife in Spandau, a western borough of Berlin. It brought an end to a massive manhunt that was launched after a white van was driven into a crowd of people near Tiergarten Park on Saturday evening, killing one woman and injuring at least 29 others. Police say following the ramming, several people were injured in a stabbing attack.
Prime Minister of Israel.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said he plans to attend the UN General Assembly in New York this autumn, despite the city's mayor, Zoran Mamdani, making threats to arrest him.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal.
Mamdani walked back that threat last week, acknowledging he lacked the legal power to arrest Netanyahu on a warrant issued by the International Criminal Court, the world's top war crimes court. The Israeli leader, who flies to the US on Monday on a different visit, told Fox News that he was not concerned about Mamdani's previous pledge and accused the mayor of fomenting hate.
He's trying to turn one group against the other, and he's foisting hate and fear. I speak to Jewish Americans in New York, and they're afraid right now. And I don't think it's accidental that after he made this hate speech against Israel and against me, the next day, a Jew is stabbed coming out of a synagogue. I think, and with a cry of Allah is Akbar, Allah Akbar. And you know what that means. So I think that it's shameful. This thing is very bad for New York. I think it's very bad for peace. But the answer to your question, I intend to come and speak the truth, speak for Israel and for the Israeli-American alliance from the podium of the United Nations.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has arrived in the UK to meet Andy Burnham as the Prime Minister's first international visitor. Burnham has pledged to continue the UK's unwavering support for Ukraine, while Number 10 said the meeting illustrates the strength of the relationship between the two nations. Prior to the meeting, Zelensky said the UK and Ukraine had built the strongest relationship in the history of cooperation. And Gavi and Fabian Ruiz returned to their hometown to a hero's welcome after Spain's World Cup win and a rather unusual prize. Following a tradition dating back to 2010, the pair were weighed on stage and handed their exact body weight in locally grown tomatoes, 68 kilograms for Gavi and 84 kilograms for Ruiz. The town is famous for both its tomatoes and its knack for producing top footballers.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. It's raining gold for Nigerian weightlifters at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, who claimed 3 earlier today. Now, in the women's 58 kilogram, Rafiatu Lawal set a new games record that is, in the snatch, clean and jerk, earning a total lift of 229 kilograms, 14 kilograms clear of Anne-Sophie Tashiro of Canada, who finished with 215 kilograms for silver. During the 53 kg event, Onome Didi rewrote the record books, also setting new games records with a total lift of 206 kilograms for her gold medal. Edith Yangumofia had set the pace earlier in the day, powering to gold in the men's 71 kg, also a games record of 319 kilograms. Meanwhile, Team Nigeria finally won a game at the 3x3 wheelchair basketball event. Nigeria defeated India 7-6, coming from behind to win their first match of the games. India had led with 2 points with less than 2 minutes left, but Nigeria put up a fight to secure their first win in Glasgow. In the heart of that victory is Nafisat Adefala. She made 6 of Nigeria's 7 points, while her teammate Titilayo Olale made the other 1 point. At the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, Diana Msewa and Hasnath Obamba scored solo goals for Tanzania in a shock 2-1 win over South Africa in Morocco. Msewa put Tanzania ahead after 38 minutes of the opening Group B match in Casablanca, and Bambanani Mbani leveled during first half added time. With the match heading for a draw, Mbamba struck on 87 minutes for Tanzania, who lie 65 places below South Africa in the world rankings. Meanwhile, the Super Falcons of Nigeria will begin the defense of their title on Tuesday night against the Scorchers of Malawi. Last year, the host, or the most successful team on the continent, came from behind to reclaim the crown they lost to South Africa in 2022, beating the host nation 3-2 in the final. While the Scorchers are making their debut, the Falcons are aiming for their 11th title. The match will kick off at 9 p.m. in Rabat at the Al Medina Stadium in Morocco. At the Under-20 WAFU B Championship, reigning champions, the Flying Eagles, knocked Ghana's Black Satellites 4-2 to lead Group B. Olayemi Ayinla gave Nigeria the perfect start in the 6th minute, while Ghana hit back in the 23rd minute through Mohamed Zaidan to level at 1-1. Nigeria then responded in the 30th minute through Lucky Oraro's free kick, while Moise Adeleke converted a penalty to go 3-1 up before the break. The second half brought its own drama. Ghana were awarded a penalty in the 60th minute, and Kelvin Nkrumah converted to pull it back to 3-2. But the Flying Eagles regained control also from the spot through Adeleke. And the main news again. Rescuers today recovered a female student's body and located a second victim beneath the rubble as emergency teams scrambled for survivors following a devastating building collapse in Anambra State. A House committee ordered the Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu today to produce alleged PFIPC Director General Adeni Adeyemi for investigation into disputed agency operations. A Joint security operatives repelled massive bandit assault in Katsina, killing over 40 bandits, including top commanders, all in a major offensive against criminal networks. And US President Donald Trump says the United States suspended Iran strikes after Tehran sought pause, warning that military action could resume as Iran denied ongoing negotiations with Washington. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde. From everyone here, you have a good night.